make it so that your county government says that if you want to have a county contract, you better have contributed to our political party. That's pay to play. That's graft. That's corruption. In my book, that's illegal. As a matter of fact, it actually borders on what we used to see in the old Soviet Union. I'd like to call up a member of the crowd, an individual from out in Midland Park. His name is Ilya Maslov. He grew up in the old Soviet Union. He knows what it's like to live under tyranny. I'm sure you're going to I'm sure you're going to be happy to hear what he has to say.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Tim didn't have a teleprompter for me, so I have this. First of all, I want to declare emphatically my favorite political philosopher is not Mao Zedong. Now I'd like to start by reading to you an internet message that my brother-in-law Gary Dreyfus forwarded to me. Thank you, Gary. Some of you may have seen it, so bear with me.
No, that's right.
It talks about the difference between conservatives and liberals. Here we go. If a conservative doesn't like guns, they don't buy one. If a liberal doesn't like guns, then no one should have one. If a conservative is a vegetarian, he just doesn't eat meat. If a liberal is a vegetarian, he wants to ban meat products for everyone. Yeah? If a conservative sees a foreign threat, he thinks about how to defeat the enemy. When a liberal sees a foreign threat, he wonders how to surrender and still look good on TV. It's not true. If a poor man is a conservative, he strives to be successful. If a poor man is a liberal, he sees himself as a victim in need of government help. Moving right along. If a conservative doesn't like a talk show host, he turns the TV off. A liberal demands that those who he doesn't like be shut down. If a conservative is a non-believer, he doesn't go to church or synagogue. A liberal, on the other hand, wants all religion to be silenced. If a conservative decides he needs health care, he goes about shopping for it, or he may try to get a job that provides it. A liberal demands that his neighbor pays for his. How about that? Is that true? Hello folks, my name is Ilya Maslov, and I grew up in Moscow, Russia, in the good old days of the evil empire. I have been living in this area since I came to this country about 30 years ago. When Team Adrians asked me to come and speak to you at this event, I was unsure what I could really say that has not been said already. You see, about 2,500 years ago, a very wise man, King Solomon, already said, there is nothing new under the sun. There was nothing new about the human condition then, and there is nothing new now. So let me ask you this. Can we continue being the most successful democracy in the history of mankind if we try to demonize and diminish news organizations that criticize government policies? No, we can't. Can we continue being the most successful economy in the world if we spend more than we make?
Nope.
No, we can't. Can we continue to be prosperous people if we vilify and tax to the max the most prosperous individuals?
No, we can't.
Can we be successful? Can we have successful companies and enterprises if they are run by the government bureaucrats?
No, we can't.
Can we malign, insult, and defund our medical providers and still continue to enjoy one of the best healthcare systems in the world?
No, we can't.
Indeed we can. None of these things that our government is currently trying to do are modern or new by any stretch of imagination. All of these things have been tried again and again, and many of you know this fact from knowing history. And many like me actually lived in societies in which such policies were pursued. Let me talk a little bit about that. For example, freedom of expression, freedom of the press. We didn't have too much of that back in the USSR. In fact, we used to tell jokes about it. For example, what kind of a TV show did we have in Moscow at that time? Well, there were 3 television channels. If you turn channel 1, you would see the General Secretary of the Communist Party, Leonid Brezhnev, giving a speech. Okay, you say to yourself, let's check the channel 2. Same General Secretary, same speech. Okay, moving to channel 3, then there would be a KGB officer saying, you better turn back to channel 1 or else. How about this one? An American and a Russian are arguing the merits of their countries. American says, we have a democracy, freedom of speech. Any American can come to the front of the White House and yell, Mr. President, you stink and your policies are terrible. To which the Russian replies, big deal, we can do the exact same thing. I can go in front of Kremlin and yell at the top of my lungs, American president stinks and his policies are terrible. Is this the kind of atmosphere, the kind of hope and change that we want for this country? No, we don't. I don't think so. How about government running businesses? We all know how terribly inefficient and wasteful government management can be. But did you ever think of other implications? Did you ever think of the fact that, in this case, government would not be only your government, but it also would become your employer? And what is the government main tool of management? It's the police. In fact, my mother told me that in Stalin's Soviet Union, during the pre-war years, the workers were routinely sent to a gulag for being late at work. Very few of them came back. Is this the kind of change we want? When I first came to this country, people were very curious and usually peppered me with questions about life in a socialist society. They were absolutely fascinated when I told them that in the Soviet Union, if you wanted to move from one apartment to another, you would have to go to the police and let them know. When my friends heard it, they would be horrified. This is unbelievable, they would say. This is like a police state. Of course, they were right. But think about it for a moment. If your government is also your landlord, of course you have to tell your landlord if you move. The police state, accordingly, is just a logical outcome of government running real estate business. And so it is with everything else. Everything becomes political and everything becomes a state matter. From toothbrushes to theater productions, from car manufacturing, that sounds familiar, right? From car manufacturing to the ice cream, all becomes political and subject to a whim of a policeman. Is this kind of hope and change we want? I don't think so. So this is what I'm trying to say. When these rascals say that they want to help the poor, the minorities, the children, I'm going to puke. Don't you believe it? Not for 1 minute. All they care is about amassing more and more power for themselves. So when these rascals harass the bridge, don't you support it? Not for 1 minute. First they want to control executive pay, then they will want to control your pay. This is pretty simple. When they're finished with the rich, they're going to come for you. Because all they care about is amassing more and more power to themselves. So with them blame insurance companies, oil companies, the pharmaceuticals, the physicians for your trouble. Don't you listen to them. Not for 1 minute. These influential and powerful people and corporations, they are the only defense that you have against the all-powerful state. Believe you me, once they finish with them, they're going to come for you. Because all they care about is about amassing more power to themselves. They want absolute power. And we do know that power corrupts. And absolute power corrupts absolutely. Okay, what do we really want? What do we really want? We want the government to get guns away from the criminals, not from law-abiding citizens. We want the government to force crooks like Bernie Madoff to stop their machinations, and not to force bankers to give mortgages to people who cannot afford them. What else do we want? We want the federal government to do what the Constitution compels it to do, to provide us with defense, conduct foreign policy, and protect us against crime. And not what the Constitution prohibits it to do, to impede trade, to restrict speech, or to bankrupt legitimate businesses. This is what we really do want, really. So what are we to do? My friends, on November 3rd, I urge you all to vote. Vote the rascals out. This is the hope and the only hope and change that we really have. Thank you. Thank you.